Okay, we're going to try to make it through this one, hopefully without insulting some of you folks, particularly my female drivers, the female audience. Nevertheless, whether you're driving for Uber or Lyft, one thing is important. You cannot engage in sexual activity with your passengers. This one is awful, folks. What up? It is indeed your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. This one pertains more to men because I think that men have a hell of a lot more liability in this issue, but you'll see what we're talking about. This indeed comes from an article titled, Lyft Driver Arrested, Accused of Sexually Assaulting an Intoxicated Teen. Now, to give you the gist of the story, the teenager is 17 years of age. The driver is a male. The teenager is female. So understand we're talking about male aggressor, female victim. I don't know if this works the same in reverse. We will discuss that. Like I stated, I'm giving you the disclaimer. I'm not trying to insult people, but facts are facts. Here is the gist of the story. Jose Efrain Lozano Albornoz, I'm hoping I'm not butchering his name, 36 years of age, was booked into Salt Lake County Jail on Wednesday for investigation of more than a dozen crimes, including aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of rape, 6 counts of forcible sexual abuse, 2 counts of object rape, 2 counts of lewdness, and supplying alcohol to a minor. Damn, it's gonna take time to get past the YouTube censors just to push this video out there, but damn. Now he's charged with a host of crimes. All of this pertains to this one individual minor. So one of the things I want to discuss, consent. This is something everybody should know already, but if you're engaging in rideshare and people are going to be trying to hit on you, trying to get with you, consent from a minor is not consent. I think most men already know that. This is why I keep saying it doesn't apply necessarily to women. But for men in particular, consent from a minor, in this case a 17-year-old, is not consent because legally she can't consent. The driver's 36 years of age, so he can't be sleeping with a 17-year-old and then saying, well, she agreed to it. But that's what's going to happen here. And as you notice, he was also charged with supplying alcohol to a minor, which in itself is another crime. But here's a more detailed explanation and why I believe, like I said, it applies more to men than anything. On April 28, police say a 17-year-old girl went to a friend's house to consume alcohol and smoke marijuana. Afterwards, her friend ordered a Lyft to get her home. Now, you know I'm not a big fan of putting teenagers in ride-sharing vehicles to begin with, but 17, it could be challenging to figure out whether a 17-year-old getting in your vehicle was an adult or not. I'm not a fan of letting teenagers in the car. You may have followed my last story where dad pulled an AR-15 and put it to the head of a driver because he was bringing home his 13-year-old daughter, and the dad started having remnants of fentanyl and child trafficking and rape and came up with all kinds of crazy shit and almost shot the damn driver. So keep teenagers out of your vehicle. But in this case, you're talking about a 17-year-old that authorities admit went to a friend's house to smoke weed and drink alcohol before the friend called this person a Lyft to get them back. So they're already high on marijuana and drunk on alcohol, or at least inebriated on alcohol, at 17 when they get in the Lyft. So this is not necessarily some angel to begin with. That doesn't mean she deserved to be sexually assaulted, but she's 17 and she's out smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and now they put her in the Lyft, and this is where the problems begin. Detectives say Albornoz, I hate butchering the name, but detectives say Albornoz drove the girl to South Jordan, where he forced her to get into the front passenger seat. He then groped and inappropriately touched the girl, who was intoxicated, the affidavit says. Police say Albornoz drove the girl a substantial distance across multiple jurisdictions and ended up at his Salt Lake apartment. My guess is, and like I said, I'm not trying to insult anybody, my guess is the 17-year-old was down with the program. He was giving her alcohol. She was already halfway probably drunk or high when she got in the vehicle. And she was down. I mean, first of all, I understand though, if a person is high or intoxicated, particularly as a man, it is a crime to engage in sex acts with them. I don't think a woman will ever be charged for having intimate relations with a guy who's inebriated. It generally only works in one way, which is why I said I'm not trying to insult folks, but our laws in regards to sexual assault they're not equal. We don't view sexual assault the same coming from a woman as we do from a man. For instance, if a woman is intoxicated, many would suggest she is too inebriated to consent. So even if she tells you yes, you can't touch her because she's fucking drunk. Particularly if she's 17 and a minor, it makes it even worse. However, I've never heard of a woman getting in trouble because her partner was drunk. I don't think we'd give a damn if the dude got drunk and he had sex with a woman who was 100% sober. He's responsible for everything that happened while he was drunk, up to and including the creation of a child. Unfortunately, it's viewed different for a drunk woman when the guy is sober. He's damn near considered a rapist. So it is treated differently. In this case, my humble opinion is that you had a 17-year-old that was enjoying the alcohol he was supplying, and he was indeed trying to cash in on her being drunk. He may or may not have known that she was a minor. We can talk about that in a minute, but let's be clear, folks. He ain't the first dude to use alcohol to try to get laid. That's what happens in the damn clubs every freaking weekend. That's what people do. Now, you can't touch a minor, we get it, but this is where Uber and Lyft need to make it so that no minors can be in the vehicle without the driver being absolutely aware the person you're hauling is under 17. Or under 18, rather. In this story, it states that the friend requested the lift for this 17-year-old. So her friend might have been an adult. They don't cover who requested the trip. I'm not a fan of teenagers being able to do any damn thing with the app. I'm just not. Teenagers are not responsible. Shit like this can happen, or my last story where the driver almost got shot. I'm just not a fan of teenagers. But Uber and Lyft, it should be their duty to advise the driver from the spot that the person getting in your vehicle is a minor, because there's added responsibility for drivers if something happens and that person is a minor. Let's say you get into a car accident or something like that, and you're more focused on your own health than your passenger. People are going to view you differently if you had a kid in the car versus an adult. You should have been looking out for your child as well. You should know that you have a child in the car. Even at 17, that's considered a minor. I don't know if the driver was advised of that. But here goes. Once they got to his apartment, Albarans provided the girl with more alcohol and sexually assaulted her multiple times, according to the affidavit. In other words, they just had sex. They had sex. That's the assaults because she's a minor. Anytime you engage in sexual, contact with a minor is considered assault because they cannot legally consent. But my guess is this person getting free liquor, it is what it is. But legally it's rape, or whatever you want to call it. When questioned by police, Albarans admitted to many of the sexual encounters with the 17-year-old girl, but claims it was consensual, the arrest report states. The police got all these details because the driver essentially snitched on himself, thinking that, look, yeah, I had sex with a passenger, but I didn't rape her. She gave it to me. If he knew that this person was a minor, or he would be charged with he probably wouldn't have done it. I'm just suggesting that he certainly would not have volunteered all this information. All of the interaction between these folks is in the police's hands because he confessed to it all. He would have probably stated, I'm most likely he did say, I didn't know she was a minor. I'm assuming he probably did say that, but doesn't matter. In most jurisdictions, if not all of them, it is considered a crime. But nevertheless, this is what we're talking about. You can't get with your passengers, and we all have passengers that try to get with us. Most of them are not minors. But if you are a male driver picking up women from the club after hours and they're tipsy and you engage in a sex act with them, they can come back later knowing that Uber and Lyft have deep pockets and it could result in a huge settlement and accuse you of sexual assault. It absolutely could happen. And you don't need to appear drunk to blow above the legal limit on a breathalyzer or something like that. So she could be drunk and you just can't hook up with your passengers. I don't know how else to say that, but you can't hook up with your passengers. And like I said, it's certainly this individual here, which is charged with a slew of crimes. He's not the first guy to use alcohol to try to get laid. He just is not. But you shouldn't be doing that shit with your passenger. And if he was also ingesting alcohol during that time, then obviously he's also driving drunk. He's committing all, it's just a lapse in judgment. Saw an attractive woman, perhaps he didn't know it was a minor. If he did, then he's a sick fuck on top of it, but just a complete lapse in judgment that's likely to affect him the rest of his life. Stay away from your passengers. As always, it is your boy Tim. Feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments, have you ever had a passenger come on to you? I'd like to hear some of the stories. See you next time.